Welcome to Paddock Talk, guys, and this week I'm talking Alpine, the team that's never short of drama. They're back in the headlines again. They've appointed Flavio Briatore, the charismatic, dodgy businessman, back as an advisory role. They've also had rumours of them potentially looking for a split from their Renault engine partner or team owners, which is absolutely huge, a possible split. Let's go through and take a look of all the goings on, because it's been absolute chaos for the last couple of years with that team. So stick with it, get a drink, and let's get to it. Firstly, to start off, guys, we need to just go through a timeline of understand where this team have actually come from. They've got a real racing pedigree. In 2005 and 6 is where they won the Drivers and Constructors World Championship with Fernando Alonso. They brought to an end the Ferrari dominance of Michael Schumacher. He was absolutely on a charge, wasn't he, in the early 2000s. So they came up with this fantastic blue and yellow concept of a car, and it was quick, and that's all the highs really of the recent past. And then in 2010 we had the massive low of Crashgate, which bought Formula 1, and it was already struggling for viewership at that time. The racing was a bit dull, they needed some spicing up, and then these guys absolutely took the biscuit with this one, didn't they? Instructed a driver, then driver Nelson Piquet Jr. to take a hit into the wall, caused a safety car, and Fernando Alonso got a cheap pit stop and went on to win the race. Nelson, when he was sacked from Renault, came out and told the story and said, look, this is what these guys have been up to. Renault denied the story all the way up until the door of the hearing, and then sort of turned around and said, we'll accept everything that you say. Flavio Briatore, Pat Fry, the then team owner and principals of the team, running the team at that time, said, yep, we'll take whatever punishment you give us, and rightly so. Renault sold their share in Flavio's team. They then went to fund and work with Lotus Renault, didn't they? And Flavio and Pat Fry life bans, which were eventually overturned, which was why he's been able to come back and work in Formula 1 now. Flavio, he's been working in the background, hasn't he? He's now showing his head again right at the front of Formula 1, and there's some pundits not too short of any sharp comments on him, are they? But yeah, let's get back to the Renault. They became the engine-only suppliers for Red Bull, which drove them to the 2010 to 2013 championship, 3 in a row, all powered by Renault. Their relationship turned sour, didn't it? In 2016, Renault became a works team. Eventually, they, refunded and didn't really go too well, did they? But they got the big name Daniel Ricciardo in their seat, and it all didn't really quite work out. And since then, it's just gone from bad to worse. 2021, they rebrand to Alpine. In that year, they finished 5th in the championship. 2022 actually was probably one of their best years. They finished in 4th place, and they were looking then to kick on to try and bring themselves into sort of the second, third places, within the team's constructors championships, but it's gone horribly wrong since then. 23, they finished in 6th place, and this year so far they finished or currently standing in 8th place. And if you thought that was bad, it got absolutely crazy, didn't it? January 22, Martin Badowski leaves, Alan Prost leaves, and in come Otmar Zafnauer. They had a decent 22 season, but 23 started all wrong, didn't it? Fernando Alonso leaves the team, and then we had the Oscar Piastri tweet, didn't we, where he refused to sign for that team. July 23, Otmar Zafnauer, Pat Fry and Alan Permain, the 3 heads that were effectively running that team, midway through a race weekend, turned up for the race weekend, and by Saturday they've gone, all sacked. They replaced Laurent Rossi 10 days after that, and they bring in a new CEO, Philippe Krief, who's Vice President of Engineering and Performance, and he was only in that position less than 6 months, so all change again. They decided that it wasn't going very well. The problem is that 2023 they had an absolutely shocking Renault engine. They had been homologated, so you could not rework on that engine at all, and so they were stuck with an engine that was just not going to take them anywhere fast, and it's been the problem ever since, hasn't it? They're way down on power compared to the rest of the guys, and so they're never really going to make it until the front, until that opens up, and potentially we get the new regulations in 2026. 24 starts, and March 24 we've had another up hurdle, don't we? Matt Harmon, the technical director and head of Aero, Derek De Boer, had left the team also. I mean, 24 was even worse than what we've seen in the last couple of years, hasn't we, from them? car issues were just, it was overweight, it just didn't work, it was slow with the engine power side, there was traction, it was weak, mid-corner understeering, you just name it. They had every issue under the sun. By China, I mean, Pierre Gasly only making one overtake in that many races was absolutely shocking of a car. We've then got them going to a 3-team technical structure, just much like McLaren. Joe Burnell, the engineering, David Wheatner and Caron Pelvin, all being leading up a 3-head technical, much like the McLaren team. Now, months later, decided that that's not going to work for them, and they've gone back to a new structure altogether. And after all that change, it doesn't look like Alpine have settled there. In comes Flavio Briatore, and he's there to look at the high-level management and potentially look at the driver markets and decide who potentially gets that second seat in that team. Now, Mick Schumacher is having a test potentially in the Alpine car for that seat. There's a number of other drivers in the mix, and now there was in Spain rumours that Flavio Briatore and Carlos Sainz exchanging numbers, and potentially could we see Flavio hijack Williams or Audi's deal to take Sainz to Alpine. Now that would be a big shock, and it does potentially throw another one in the mix for Carlos Sainz, doesn't he? Where does he go? There's a lot of, all 3 teams that are effectively up in the options for him have all got issues, and it's something that we can see play out. Who knows where that'll end up, but Flavio already doing things, and can see why they've brought him in for sort of deals like this. And it's not just ending there, is it? Will we see Alpine and Renault ties split? Alpine effectively saying they're going to review who they have as an engine supplier for 26. Now the rumours are that 26 engine for Renault isn't going well either, and we know that the current engine that they have is down on power, so the relationship there potentially already stained. But the Alpine are a group, or part of the Renault group, so the Renault own Alpine, and so it's a very strange concept to have them go away from effectively their owners to buy in a customer engine when Renault could be supplying that. I guess the rumours are or the idea is that can Renault spend their funds elsewhere, and can Alpine get a better job done? But it doesn't leave much for the brand of Renault, does it, that they have to, you know, Alpine are saying now your engines, you're not good enough for us, and you're not doing a good enough job, and other manufacturers can do that. I mean, I don't know, sure, if I was Renault how I'd feel about that. It's a little embarrassing if you ask me, but I'm not making that decision. But we've seen it work, haven't we? McLaren have done it with Mercedes now. They're actually faster than the Mercedes Works outfit, and so there's potential that is an option, and a viable option for them at that. 2026 with a big regulation change, and it's going to be more of an engine formula we hear from the drivers rather than the aerodynamics doing the talking, and so it's a big step, but it could potentially be the right step if they pick the right partner. Mercedes have a slot, they're getting rid of Aston Martin, so there's the opening there for them. I'm sure they'll do the workings out, and who knows where they'll end up. I mean, it wasn't long ago that we seen Renault come out and say that they're not pulling the plug on Alpine, they continue to be their works team. Formula 1's on a high at the moment, so Alpine wouldn't be short of investors. I mean, they've had 218 million already in from the Hollywood, NFL and boxing and Gold Stars, haven't they? I mean, they've given a 24% stake out already on that side of things, and I'm sure they can raise more money elsewhere. Formula 1 is booming, the audience is getting bigger and bigger. They've finally cracked the American market, so there's a lot to play for, and they've now got Flavio in the mix. Is it the right choice? Time will tell. He's done good things in the past. If they can limit his input, I think it'll be best for them and the team and overall. We see there's drama wherever he goes. Look at Crashgate. I mean, he's got a horrible history in business before that. And yeah, do they really want to get fully in bed with that guy? I'm not so sure, but he can do the right things, and he's shown he's a genius when it comes to picking out drivers. He can absolutely make that work. He brought Michael Schumacher from Jordan. He brought up Fernando Alonso, the young driver at that time, ditching Jenson Button, and that double world champion, and we've seen what Fernando's become, and he's still his manager now. So, you know, he does work with a lot of drivers, and it potentially could work out for the benefit of Renault. I personally feel a hard reset is the right call. 2026 are big regulation changes. You need to look at all your departments, and Renault have got it wrong for the last 3 seasons. They can't afford to get it wrong for the 26 one. It's a big one and it'll haunt them for many years to come. And Renault, probably rightly so, looking at what they want to do with this Alpine team. Alpine also looking at Renault. Do they want to stick with that engine when they've suffered for the last couple of years with an engine down on power? But Renault, going places or not going places, as ever, we're here for the story. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. See you next time.